everybody, Zach here at Tennis Pro Doc, helping you improve your game with science. And today it is one of the most requested shoes in my comment section, the Lotto Mirage 100 Speed or All Court Edition. Now heads up, this is not a sponsored video, however Lotto did send me these. However, I did inform them that I was still going to give my unvarnished opinion. They have no editorial control and they're not going to see the video before you. Now what interests me about Lotto is on the Pro Tour, you do see quite a bit of this shoe, as a lot of up and coming players or a lot of players in the Challenger Tour and the qualifying, their first contract seems to be with Lotto, their first sponsorship. So you are seeing these shoes around quite a bit, specifically the Mirages. So there does have to be something to the shoe that all these pros are agreeing to play with them. So the first thing that struck me about the Mirages when taking them out of the box wasn't even the shoe itself, it's what else comes in the box. The first thing is you actually get two different thicknesses of insole. So if you like a thinner insole, you can keep that, or if you want something a little thicker, you can get that too. Now what I like about this is, remember, the factory insole is gonna wear down no matter what. So once the factory one kind of wears down, you can actually just put a new one in instead of just having to deal with it. The next thing they bring you is another set of laces, so you actually get a little bit of color control on there, which I actually really thought was pretty cool. Even if it is just another color laces, it's kind of nice to get something else in the box besides the shoes. Now getting into the uppers, the Mirage 100s have an all TPU and then an underlayer of mesh in the upper. Now it is not a soft TPU upper like the Jomas are, just a soft upper in general, like the Vapor Cage 4s are. It's more along the lines of the Gel Resolution 8. Now the one thing this has above the Gel Resolution 8 is all these break points in the TPU here, so you get a lot more breathability in the toe box. The toe box also doesn't feel as rigid as the Gel Resolution 8 because it just bends a little bit better. However, you do get that molded feeling up there, so it's not going to be that real soft feeling you get from some uppers. Now on the durability test of the Dremel 10 seconds highest grit sandpaper, as you can see, this TPU is actually pretty thin, so you actually are getting a little bit more wear on it than some other shoes have with that really thick TPU. So although these do have guards on them, they are going to wear down a little bit quicker than some of the real thick TPU like on the Vapor Cage 4s or the Zoom Cage 3s. Now everything you need to know about the performance of this shoe can be found here in the Midsole Teardown. High density foam here in the heel and ultra high density foam here running from heel to toe. Now also you have this super long shank going from the back of the heel all the way into the arch. So what that means is when you're compressing the heel, when you're coming down on your heel, it's then jacking up the arch. So you're getting this reverse buckling, and that's what gives you so much energy return from heel into the arch here. Now also, since the foam is ultra high density, it's able to store all that energy for the next explosive move. So this is what gives the shoe such a solid feeling, but also so much energy return. Now by far my favorite part of these shoes is the outsole tread. Reason being, it is a continuous one-piece outsole. There is no breaks for shank or just a two-piece pod. It's one piece. Now the reason I really like that is it gives you so much opportunity for grip and stability, especially on a hard court. Now the pattern of it, as you can see here, you've got an arrow pattern here on the lateral side and then flat herringbone on the medial side. Now you have one little break point channel right going through the middle and then on the back. So you still can slide on these because of that flat herringbone. However, when you are trying to get up and go for the next shot, or let's say you're on one foot or you're really off balance, because there's just tread everywhere, you actually do have a lot more opportunity to keep your footing and to stay balanced to get up and go for that next ball, which I really like, especially on a slick hard court. These are really gonna fit well. Now another thing I like is the base of the shoe is actually pretty wide here right on the inside of the heel, which does give you a little bit more arch support, as well as when you're split stepping, it also gives you a little more support too. Now the one thing that these shoes do not have of is a lot of outsole tread that comes up over the upper here. You do see it in the toe box, but on the medial side, there is an opportunity here if you do slide to burn through the midsole foam here. Now the Mirages do have a pretty broad lateral flange. It is not very sharp or wide. Now this does make the shoe a lot more aerodynamic and streamlined. However, if you're someone that likes a really fat, wide lateral flange, these are gonna be a little bit more streamlined for you. All right, so outsole durability test with the Dremel 10 seconds highest grit sandpaper, not even a millimeter of damage here. Really good durability here on this tread. Even though it is a thinner tread, still really good durability. Now the fit of the Mirage 100s is actually really interesting. When I put them on my feet, they felt really solid, really kind of molded, like they were unyielding. However, my 2E width foot had no break-in on them, so they definitely accommodate a wider foot. I'd say if you have over a 2E, you better go up a half size. The length is pretty true, but it is interesting with these shoes because they are gonna fit a flat-footed player really well because of the arch support in that midsole foam. It's also going to fit a higher arch player because of the same reason, all that midsole foam. So for a lot of different foot types, these are pretty good. However, when you first get in them, you're gonna notice that they are a little bit more rigid, a little bit more unyielding. However, it's not uncomfortable, which I thought was really interesting. And I think the best way to describe these shoes is these are more of like a high density Tempur-Pedic mattress versus some other shoes which are more of like a pillow top or a plush mattress. Now, playing in the Mirages felt absolutely rock solid underfoot. They give you such a good bounce when split stepping, a lot of stability when split stepping, as well as a ton of energy return when moving side to side or when trying to push off from one foot. They also give you a ton of cantilevering when you are serving, so you really feel like you got a nice beam underneath of you to kind of push forward if you're a serve and volleyer. They are incredibly aerodynamic too with that thin TPU, so even though they are going to burn through a little bit quicker than some thicker TPUs, they're going to move through the court a lot faster than those shoes too. So I really felt that when number one serving and volleying, and when I was trying to go baseline to baseline as well. And after playing them a few times, I could actually feel that midsole foam start to contour around the bottom of my foot. So whereas at the beginning it felt really rigid, that midsole foam actually did start to feel like it was molding to me. So I really did like that after a while. However, you have to play in them a few times to get to that point. 14.42 seconds on the suicide test, one of my fastest times registered. That's due to a couple things. Number one, all the coiling in the shank, the potential energy in that foam being released into kinetic energy when I move. Number two, the shoe is so aerodynamic, it just cuts through the air so fast. And on the serve test, 32 centimeters of serve height and 70 centimeters of distance. Just shows you you're already up pretty high at 2.5 centimeters on the heel height, but then that shank storing all of that potential energy in those foams just gives you a ton of propulsion upwards and outwards. But if I had to describe the Lotto Mirage 100 in one word, it would be solid. Solid in the uppers, solid midsole, one solid piece of outsole rubber. Everything about this shoe just screams solid. But remember, the Mirages are just a little bit of a different shoe than some of the other really ultra plush, softer upper, really cottony feeling type shoes. The Mirages are more of like a Formula One car versus some of these other ones that are more of like a plush riding touring car. So I would say if you're more into raw performance and energy return, these are gonna be your shoe all day. If you're into more of the feeling of an UGG boot, maybe look somewhere else. So make sure to leave me a comment down below if you've had any experience with these or what your opinion is on this type of raw performance type shoe versus some of the other plush shoes that have been coming out. I'd really love to hear your opinion. I was really surprised with these when I saw them when they came in the mail, because when I was looking at them online, they really looked to me kind of like the Diadora Blue Shields, but they play completely different. So please let me know what you have to say about these down in the comments down below. Otherwise, hope you all have a great day, great night, wherever in the world you are tuning in from. I'll see you in the next video.